What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Today we are going to talk about who has been every championship club's best player this season. This was a video idea submitted to me very recently. If you guys want any more of your video ideas to become actual videos on Lex Selectors, make sure you comment more suggestions in the comments down below. And you can even follow me on my Discord server, which is always the top link in the description down below. If you guys enjoy what you see, please make sure you do give this video a like, it's tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. 406 as of recording. If we can really push to 500, that'd be fantastically appreciated. And then we can start dreaming of 1,000 subscribers, which is my ultimate goal for this channel. And if you can, please share my channel to as many people as you can that like championship content and might like my channel. Although it would really make my day. Without any further ado, let's go through every single club in alphabetical order and let's go through their best player this season. So for Bournemouth, it's been a bit difficult to judge who has been their best player recently following their poor run of form. But one player for me who has been relatively consistent has been Junior Stanislas. He's had 21 appearances for Bournemouth with 9 goals and 3 assists all season, adding up to 12 goal contributions. And what I like about Stanislas is this real desire that I see him play with. He looks really dangerous on the ball. He can dribble for miles as well. And his set piece delivery has been fantastic as well. If you've seen his free kicks, Stanislas is the natural free kick taker, and he 9 times out of 10 would at least get the ball on target. He's had 1 man of the match performances with 2.5 shots per game as well, with an 80 pass rate percentage as well. Relatively good stats across the board. Barnsley have gone for Alex Moa. Now there's been 2 people I've had in mind, which is Alex Moa, but also Michael Heelick. I do think he deserves a shout playing in centre back, but I've gone for Alex Moa being their talisman, their playmaker. He's had 5 goals and 4 assists all season, which has attracted interest recently in the January transfer window. He's managed to stay at Barnsley. He's had 2 man of the match performances as well. I just really like the quality that he has, the leadership role. He drills this Barnsley team. Everything ticks around him. And to have that quality, I just think Alex Moa has been a huge impact to why Barnsley have been ticking so well this season. For Birmingham, I've decided to go for Ivan Sanchez. There weren't really many notable ones I really wanted to pick out for Birmingham, unfortunately, with their position. Neil Average, I guess, deserves a shout out, even though he's made a couple of mistakes this season. But Ivan Sanchez, for me, has been my biggest eye catcher in Birmingham so far. The way that he plays, just the confidence to cut inside defences, and the sort of crosses and deliveries that he has, you wouldn't think that he's in a team fighting relegation. He has had 2 goals and 4 assists so far this season, 3 man of the match performances and an 82 pass rate percentage, which is absolutely terrific, especially for a winger as well. When Birmingham lose 9 times out of 10, Ivan Sanchez tends to be the player that for me has really been Birmingham's biggest creative output. For instance, in midweek, when they lost 3-1 to Norwich, Ivan Sanchez was awarded man of the match according to WhoScored.com. So it just goes to show the quality that Ivan Sanchez has had on that squad, and I think it should be recognised in this video today. Blackburn, I think this was quite an obvious one. Adam Armstrong, I have to pick him with 19 goals this season with 3 assists as well. He's had 5 shots per game as well. One element of the game I think Adam Armstrong can work from, if he's had 5 shots per game, but only conjuring up 19 goals already this season, it means he needs to improve his clinical instinct. But Blackburn wouldn't be where they are if they did not have Adam Armstrong's 19 goals. Other shoutouts include Ryan Nyambe and Harvey Elliott. I think both of them have been relatively good as well, especially Harvey Elliott last night against Watford. I thought it was terrific. Brentford, once again, I think this was one notable shout out. Ivan Toney, 24 goals, 9 assists, still recovering from that injury. He did manage to go on as a substitute appearance. He has a couple less shots per game than Adam Armstrong, only 3 shots per game, but the fact he's had more goals than Adam Armstrong, you've got to give him credit. He's a lot more clinical in front of goal. But what's even more impressive about Ivan Toney as well, he wins 3.1 aerials per game, which is actually 0.1 less than defender Pontus Jansson, and actually the 3rd most aerials won behind Pontus Jansson and Ethan Pinnock. So technically, Ivan Toney is their 3rd best defender along with their best attacker. And when you've got that sort of qualities as a player, you know you've got a real good player that can work hard. But Bristol City, once again, it was actually quite difficult for me to pick out one notable performer. For me, I've just edged it to Nahki Wells. Even though it's not been his strongest season, especially when you compare to what he did in the beginning with Queensborough Rangers last season, he's had 7 goals and 3 assists. I thought he was actually really terrific for Bristol City in midweek against Middlesbrough well with a goal and assist in that game. So I think now's the right time for me to actually give Nahki Wells the praise that he does deserve. As long as he doesn't go on a goal drought and loses his confidence again, I mean, Nahki Wells can start showing the quality that is promised of him in that Bristol City squad. Cardiff, I've got to give it to Kiefer Moore. What he's done this season has been absolutely incredible. I don't think I really expected for him to get 15 goals already. He's already matched AD Boothroyd's 15 goals, which means is actually he only needs one more goal to get the most goals in a Cardiff striker since the championship was reinstated, which is an absolutely incredible stat for Kiefer Moore. He's also had 1 assist to his name with 3 shots per game as well, but what's even more impressive, he's won 11 aerials, the most aerials won by any Cardiff player. Put in contrast with Sean Morrison, he wins up to 7 aerials per game, meaning that likewise with Ivan Toney, Kiefer Moore not only is clinical going forward, defensive wise, winning looping balls and winning headers, Kiefer Moore is absolutely brilliant. With a whopping 10 man of the match winning performances, I think I've got to recognise Kiefer Moore being Cardiff's best player, and following his penalty, Cardiff are now sitting in the top 6 for the first time this season. Coventry, I think I'm going to give it to Gustavo Hamer. There's been a couple of good underrated players, I think, that have not really been given the credit they deserve. Sam McCallum being another one of them. But I think Gustavo Hamer, I definitely think, is Cardiff's best player with 5 goals and 1 assist all season with 2 shots per game. When he's on it, honestly, Gustavo Hamer looks a real baller. With Derby, I'm actually going to give it to a defender, Christian Bielik, the first award I'm going to give my best player to a defender, because recently Derby have been keeping a load of clean sheets. He's played in 13 games this season and has kept 8 clean sheets. 8 out of the 13 games Christian Bielik's been in that starting 11, he's kept clean sheets. That means he has a 62% clean sheet rate, which is actually ridiculous as a defender. He's had 2 goals as well and 4 man of the match performances with an 82.8 pass rate percentage as well. He's a ball-playing defender, he's got a high clean sheet rate, and he scores goals. So, honestly, Christian Bielik has got everything for me. Huddersfield's been the quite tough one, but I'm going to give it to Harry Toffolo. He's had 2 goals and 5 assists all season, the joint most goal contributions to that Huddersfield squad, with a relatively good pass rate percentage as well, 78.7%. Toffolo, for me, has been fantastic in terms of driving forward and using the fullback position well. He plays like a modern fullback, really. You know, really defensive, but also definitely having the energy, managing to track forward, but also to track back as well. When you've got that energy, you've got that desire to run back and forth and create opportunities, but also defend opposing opportunities. You know you've got a great player on your hands. Pippa deserves a bit of a shout out. Carol Eiting as well, I think, deserves shout outs as well. But I think the best player for Huddersfield, in my opinion, has been Harry Toffolo. Luton Town has been quite difficult. I was thinking James Collins being the best player with 7 goals. But I've actually changed my mind last minute, and I'm actually going to give it to a name that's really made a big name for himself this season, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall. No pun intended, he is quite a big name. But he has had 22 appearances, 2 goals, 3 assists, and 1 man of the match performances. And I definitely remember being asked this question in one of my live streams, who has been the best defensive midfielder? And I always think, oh, you know, Ben Pearson, you know, no one can really play in that position. But for me, I always forget how many good defensive midfielders there are in the Championship. And for me, Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall is definitely one of them. Middlesbrough, I've got to give it to Duncan Watmore. I mean, what a story this has turned out to be. I remember when he was back at Sunderland and I wasn't really too impressed. I mean, he was a promising player, but I didn't think that he would really attract the attention, especially for Premier League clubs as well. But of course, he was linked to many Premier League clubs in January following his unbelievable form that he had. 6 goals, 1 assist as a defensive midfielder, 3 man of the match performances as well. And that solo goal he did in midweek very recently as well. Honestly, just quality. Watmore is playing out of his skin, which is absolutely terrific to see. George Saville is very unlucky to miss out though. I'm also recognising his efforts as well, being a fantastic defender that he is. Millwall's best player for me has been Sean Hutchison at the back with 2 goals this season. You know, you don't get too many defenders that manage to crack a couple of goals. 72.8 pass rate percentage is not that bad. 3 man of the match winning performances as well. He has kept 13 clean sheets, for Millwall, and he's actually started in every single game for Millwall as well. So clearly Gary Rowett rates him, and he has got a very important role in that Millwall squad, and he's been a huge factor of why Millwall have not been conceding many goals, and also why that Millwall have been keeping so many clean sheets this season. Norwich for me, it's got to be only one answer. Emiliano Buendia, 9 goals, 9 assists. He's nearly got double figures in goals and assists, which, if I'm right in saying, I don't think any player has currently got that this season. So I think Emiliano Buendia will be the first that does that. 3 shots per game, 9 man of the match winning performances. I mean, Buendia is just unbelievable, really. And when Buendia was absent, Norwich were really crumbling. It just goes to show the impact that one really creative and important player can have to a squad. And Buendia, for me, by far, has been the Championship's biggest spark this season. 9 for us has been quite difficult, but I'm actually going to give it to Ryan Yates, another defensive midfielder that I actually think is a bit underrated, and one that I wish I actually looked into a little bit more, figuring how much quality that he has. 2 goals and 2 assists this season with 3.5 aerials, 1 per game, which is pretty good, actually. For me, in terms of the position that he plays, he's done the best in that particular role. I've not been too impressed with the attacking players that Forest have had. They've kept chopped and changing them, and the defence as well has been a little bit slack. But for that defensive midfielder position, I think Ryan Yates has been relatively consistent, and I actually think he's been Nottingham Forest's best player this season, in my opinion. With Preston, this was a bit tight as well. I'm going to give it to Scott Sinclair, actually. Daniel Johnson, I was thinking maybe I should give it to him, but actually following Scott Sinclair's run of form recently, I'm going to give Preston's best player to him with 8 goals this season, 79.7 pass rate percentage, collecting 1 man of the match winning performance as well. I remember the goal he scored from the halfway line against Bournemouth as well. What an unbelievable goal that was. Probably in contention of being one of the goals of the season. I would be very surprised if it's not in one of the nominations for best goal of the season, especially in the Championship. For Queen's Park Rangers, I'm going to give to Seny Dieng, our first goalkeeper, I'm going to give the best player to. He's made 3.1 saves per game, 8 clean sheets, and according to WhoScored.com, with goalkeepers playing over 25 appearances or more, Seny Dieng has got the best rating out of any goalkeeper in the Championship. And I can see why. He was absolutely terrific against Preston yesterday. He has been the sole reason why Queen's Park Rangers managed to keep a clean sheet in that game, because Preston did have a bit of quality going forward. He's had 2 man of the match winning performances as well. I do have to say Elias Chair and Charlie Austin are a little bit unlucky to miss out though, in terms of what they bring to an attacking sense of view. But Seny Dieng, pretty much right from the start of the season, has been Queen's Park Rangers' most important player for me. Reading, I've compromised and I'm going to give it to Lucas João, although Michael Elise is very unlucky to miss out on this. The reason why I have given it to Lucas João is for the 17 goals this season. He's only 2 goals behind Adam Armstrong, to put in perspective. He's had 4 man of the match winning performances as well. And actually, if Lucas João scored his 2 penalties recently, Reading would be much better off, really. They would be 4 points better off, and they wouldn't be in the risk that they are in losing that top 6 place, really. But as I said, Michael Elise is very unlucky to miss out. He's been a revelation in that midfielder position, playing the most football I've ever seen him. Rotherham, I'm going to give it to Michael Smith. He has been the top goal scorer for Rotherham so far this season, which is why I'm giving the reward to him. 2 shots per game, but also 6.4 aerials, 1 per game as well. So likewise with Eve Antonio and Keith Moore, not only is he great going forward, but defensively wise and winning headers, he's been really useful as well. Dan Barlaser deserves a bit of a shout out as well. With Sheffield Wednesday, if I'm going to be honest with you, there's not been too many players in my mind that have been their best player or been their most important player, if I'm going to be brutally honest. But for me, I'm going to give it to Callum Patterson for the goals he managed to score. He's managed to score 6 goals so far this season with 1 assist, and he's had 5 aerials, 1 per game as well. But you would have wanted to see more goals from Callum Patterson though, especially with the amount of chances he's been getting as well. For Stoke, I'm going to give it to Nick Powell. The reason why I've given it to Nick Powell is because he's been the only Stoke player so far this season who's managed to achieve double figures in goals. He's managed to achieve 10 goals this season and actually take away their defeat against Barnsley yesterday. When Stoke were recovering their form, Nick Powell was a big part of that, managing to score some very important goals. He's had 2 assists and also 4 aerials, 1 as well, so another player that is very good in the air as well, collecting 1 man of the match. Harry Souttar for Stoke is also someone I do want to give a shout out as well in that defensive midfielder position as well. For Swansea, I mean, it's got to be one person really, Conor Hurhan, and he's been the only January transfer I'm going to include in Swansea's most important / best player so far this season. 4 goals in his 6 appearances so far, which is absolutely bonkers. 1 assist as well, with a 78.7 pass rate percentage as well, which is actually the best pass rate percentage out of any Swansea player. And 2 man of the matches in his 6 appearances. So there's a 33% chance that Conor Hourihane is going to get a man of the match winning performance when he plays, which is an incredible stat, to be honest with you. And following his form, that's why Swansea are now in the conversation of being promoted. They're going to make sure they sustain their performances though, because I think against Coventry, they weren't really that great, if I'm going to be honest with you. Watford was a bit tough to pick a notable player that has been their best player. I'm going to give it to João Pedro. 9 goals in 20 appearances with 4 man of the match winning performances as well. Ismaila Sarr maybe could have got a shout out, and actually he's been fantastic recently with Watford's run of form, especially with using his pace. But I've compromised with João Pedro, especially in the beginning part of that season. But how he's playing under the 2 entirely different managers as well, I'm going to give Watford's best player to João Pedro this season. And finally for Wickham, I think a lot of you wanted me to say Adebayo Akinfenwa, and in terms of spirit, Adebayo Akinfenwa has been Wickham's most important / best player. But with 0 goals this season, unfortunately, I cannot give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm actually going to give Wickham's best player to Joe Jacobson as a fullback with 3 goals and 4 assists, nearly a combined 10 goal contributions to Wickham, which is actually crazy with the little goals that he scored this season. 2 man of the matches as well. He's actually the 2nd top goal scorer for Wickham as well. Only Scott Cashgate has actually scored more goals than Joe Jacobson, which is absolutely crazy. If Wickham do go down, which I think they might go down, I think Joe Jacobson will definitely be linked with a bigger club in the future. Wickham's best player for me has been Joe Jacobson. But that wraps it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please make sure you do give this video a like, tremendously appreciated. If you haven't done, please subscribe to the channel. It would really make my day. Any more suggestions you want to see on the channel, let me know in the comments down below and I'll respond to all of you. And please share my channel to as many people as you can. All of that would really make my day. But thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, take care everyone.